Hey, we welcome Jared from Marble City Pharmacy this morning, and fall is in the air, sir.
Man, it feels good.
It does. You got the short sleeve on this morning, a little spring in your step outside, right?
I didn't check the weather, but it's pretty cold.
Oh, well, fall season brings a lot of things, corn stalks and pumpkins and pine straw and fall plants and all this kind of stuff. But it also brings vaccination time too. And we're going to talk about some of that this morning, including flu shots.
Yeah, it's time. This is, what is the day? October the 10th?
8th.
8th, somewhere.
Or 9th. Is it 9th? Yeah, 9th.
We don't know what day
It's
it is.
the 9th.
But it is time to get a flu shot. One of the biggest questions we get is, when should I get this? We've been doing flu shots since September the 1st. We've given a bunch of them already. But if you haven't done it, now is the time. Sometimes the flu season starts as early as the end of October. Sometimes it starts early as the beginning of October. But if you get your flu shot now, in a couple of weeks, you'll have that protection. It'll be in place for the rest of the season.
All right, it's not in my notes this morning.
Okay, all right.
Why should I take a flu shot?
Well, that's a good question. All right, so vaccines, right, are created to introduce whatever the bug is into your body. So some vaccines are made from viruses, some vaccines are made from bacteria. And they introduce those things into your body to get your immune system to have a reaction to them.
How do these things work?
So that the next time your body is introduced to that virus or bacteria, your body already has the defenses in place to defeat it. That's the theory behind vaccines.
Wow. What's a live vaccine?
I got this question just the other day. I can't remember what shot the person was getting, but they asked the question, is this a live vaccine? Let me just go ahead and say this. There are not any live vaccines in our pharmacy. Live vaccine, first of all, the flu shot that you get every year is a version of the virus that is killed. It's called inactivated. And so these type of viruses or bacteria cannot cause infection. So go ahead and get that out of the way. The flu shot doesn't cause the flu. Those strains have been inactivated. A live vaccine, though, is what it sounds like. It's a live version of a virus. But we don't have any live vaccines right now, so don't worry about that. There are more side effects from live vaccines, but the technology over the years has kind of progressed. We don't really use those anymore.
So is now the time to get the flu vaccine?
It is, starting right now.
Yeah. What's the difference in flu vaccine and pneumonia vaccine? That's the same thing?
The flu's a virus, of course. There are multiple types of pneumonia, but the vaccine for pneumonia protects against a bacterial kind of pneumonia. It's called pneumococcal pneumonia. And so just like the flu, you guys know this, pneumonia puts lots of people in the hospital every year. And so there is a newer, see if I can get this out, a newer pneumococcal vaccine. It's called Prevnar 20. You guys may have seen this on commercial. And so if you have not yet had Prevnar 20 and you are over age 65, you definitely need to get that. And the time that you get your flu shot would be a good time for that.
Shingles.
Yeah.
The shingles vaccine. Talk about that.
Shingles would be the third thing. If you're an older person, shingles would be the third thing to consider. The shingles vaccine is for people who are over age 50. It is 2 doses, so be aware of that. If you got one today, you'd get another one between 2 and 6 months from now. People ask all the time, why do you get the second one? Well, the second one allows you to build on the first one, basically give you a longer period of protection. You know, the first one works. I also get that question. The first one works, but the second one allows you to have protection for a longer period of time. And so if you've ever seen somebody with shingles, you know, or listened to them talk about shingles, it of course is very painful. And so that would be the third thing: the flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, and shingles. If you're an older person.
I have a cousin, lives in Fayetteville, Alabama. She had shingles.
Yeah.
She had shingles in her eyes.
Yes. Okay. So the most common place people get shingles, by the way, it doesn't really wrap around your whole body, but the most common place people get shingles would be on one of the flanks. And so we'll have people all the time pull their shirts up, unfortunately, and show us these shingles rashes that will kind of go around one side of the flank. But one of the other most common places is on the side of the face. And so sometimes you'll see people who have rashes from shingles right around here. Sometimes they will wrap all the way around into the eye though. And the more serious types can affect a person's vision. So that's a pretty serious deal, obviously in addition to the pain that people experience when they have it anyway. So
you mentioned pain. What kind of pain do people feel from this, you know?
Well, that's a good question. It's nerve pain. And for lack of a better way to say this, if you had chicken pox, and if you wonder whether you had chicken pox, you probably did. Your parents probably told you, the teacher at school probably told you, but if nobody ever talked to you about chicken pox, 99% of people had chicken pox when they were little. Some people just don't know it. The same virus that causes chickenpox basically hangs out in your body for the rest of your life. And in some people, at some times, it can reappear as shingles later on in life. The older you get, the more likely you are to get shingles. It doesn't happen that much for people in 20s and 30s, but you get in your 40s, 50s, 60s, the older you get, the more likely you are to get it. And so it hides out in nerve endings. And so the pain that you get from shingles is not from the rash, it's from the work that it's doing in the nerve ending. So it can be pretty bad if you've ever had nerve pain before.
So whether it's the flu vaccine or pneumonia vaccine or shingles vaccine, I'm quite sure there's side effects possible for these vaccinations as well.
Oh yeah, no doubt. The most common side effect with any of these vaccines will be reactions right here at the injection site, right? Sometimes you have people who say they feel sluggish for a few days. I've had people who had the shingles vaccine who've come back and shown me almost like a golf ball size swelling, you know, strange looking swelling. So I don't want to say that these things are not without side effects. There are people who feel rough for a few days. There are people who have swelling there at the injection site. I would say that in 20-something years, I haven't really seen anything major myself.
What are some of the symptoms of flu and maybe pneumonia?
Well, flu a lot of times progresses into pneumonia. So let me just start with the flu. You have some of the things that are similar to a common cold, like sometimes people will have a sore throat, a lot of nasal congestion, drainage, runny nose, sneezing, that sort of thing. But the thing that differentiates flu from the common cold most of the time is that person has body aches. And you guys kind of know how that feels. Sometimes you have the flu, you literally just have to lie down and rest because you can't get any relief and you can't heal until you do. And so I say body aches would be the main differentiator there. And then when you start thinking about pneumonia, you now have something where you're talking about pretty serious infection in the chest area. Sometimes you have people who have trouble breathing, right? And you need medicines to kind of clear up that congestion in the chest. And so pneumonia for years and years and years, this is long before COVID ever existed, right? Pneumonia will put people in the hospital and cause people to die, and it has for a very long time.
And then there's a new COVID vaccine too.
Yes, okay. I am hoping to get the new COVID vaccine today. I've learned to never say for sure on these kind of things when it comes to shipping, right? And these days you can't get anything when you think you're going to get it. But I think the new COVID vaccine is coming in today. Some different places around the state have gotten it already. We've kind of been a little bit slower in Alabama to roll this out than maybe in some other states. But apparently we're going to be able to be ready to do this even later on today.
So I know I've got the card. I took 2 COVID vaccinations.
Yeah.
All right. And is this the 3rd or the 4th?
This is, I don't even know if you call them in a sequence anymore.
Okay.
There was the original COVID vaccine that was, I don't know how many years ago that was now, maybe 2 or 3 years ago now. And then they decided that one was not really good anymore, or useful anymore. Then maybe, was it last summer maybe, they came out with another version of it that had the 2 different strains in it. Now they decided that one's no good anymore. This is a newer, supposedly more up-to-date version. So I'm not even sure if you call them in a sequence or not, you know, because this is a little bit different vaccine.
I see more and more people in the last few months that have diagnosed positive for COVID.
Yes. A lot more. In fact, we do have, what do you call those things? We do have the at-home COVID test. I think you can get a couple of them for somewhere around $20. They don't cost as much as they used to. But yeah, honestly, a ton of people have had COVID in the last, I would say, two or so months. And actually lots of people. Good news is that the majority of them, none of my patients have been very seriously ill, and so that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, you wonder back 3 years ago, so many people dying from COVID, and now with COVID, if we aren't careful, we'll bunch it in with flu or something like that.
Well, it seems like that when this first came out, what would it be, 3 years ago or something like that, this was like the most nightmare flu season ever. You know, we've had flu seasons in the past that have been almost as deadly as COVID was. Now it's almost more like a common cold. And so you see people with all this congestion and stuff, they feel lousy for a few days. But what's going around right now and being called COVID and testing positive as COVID, fortunately, is pretty mild.
Yeah. Before we go this morning, sometimes we get confused about what's cold and what's flu. And we talked about some of the differences. A lot of this can be treated with over-the-counter medication, correct?
It can. A lot of people treat, and a lot of medicines are the same, right? So if you have congestion, it doesn't matter if it's a cold or the flu, right? You're going to take the same medicine. You'll be looking at Sudafed type medications. If you have body aches, you know, you're looking at your Tylenol and your Advil and that sort of thing. But yes, for the symptoms, almost everything that you would want is available over the counter. And who better to get it from than the experts at Marble City Pharmacy?
Absolutely. And people that are over a certain age are more susceptible to these type of illnesses and really need to be careful with it.
They are, and they're more susceptible, and then they're also more likely to be taking more medications. And in that case, you have to make sure you give them the right over-the-counter medications. You know, for example, persons on blood thinners need to be careful with certain types of pain medicines, right? And so you need a pharmacist who can help you choose the right over-the-counter medicine, make sure it doesn't have any drug interactions with what you're taking, and it'll be appropriate for what you're treating.
And you guys just don't give injections. You know, there's consultation and that kind of thing too, right?
Oh, sure, sure. All those questions are answered. All that advice, good or bad, is given. That's right.
Jared, thanks for coming by this morning.
Sure.
Jared Johnson, Marble City Pharmacy. Help Monday on this Monday, the 9th day of October. More daybreak after this.